Boker Tov, Boker Or. Good morning, everybody, as we go to the Chitas of the day. Today is Thursday, the 25th day of the month of Elul. The day that the world was started the world creation. We are holding on chapter 30, verse number 7. V'nosan Hashem alekecha askala ola se'ela. The Lord your God will place upon you all these curses, aleivecha, on your enemies, v'al seinecha, and on your adversaries, asher atfucha, which is pursuing you. V'ato toshev v'shamayta, but you will return and you will listen, b'kel Hashem, the voice of God. V'asi says, kol mitzvaysav, you'll do all His commandments, asher nechem etzavcha yom, which I'm commanding you today. And the Lord God will make you in abundance, in all the work of your hands, the fruits of your womb, the fruits of your livestock, the fruits of your soil, to good. Because God will once again rejoice over you for good. Kasher sos alavisecha, God rejoice for on your fathers. Verse 10, Ki sishma b'keil Hashem alekecha, because you'll listen, you'll hearken to the words of God, the voice of God. Lishmai mitzvaysav, to observe His commandments, v'chukav, and His statutes. Haksuva b'sefer hazeh, which is written in this book. Ki sos Hashem alekecha, because you'll return to God, your God, b'chol avavcha, with all your heart, b'chol nafshecha, and with all your soul. That is the Chumash of today. We now go to the Tanya of the day. Tanya of the day, today is the 25th day of Elul. We are holding the 17th letter of the Alter Rebbe. This is the meaning of what our sages, blessed memory, said. What is the world to come, which is Gan Eden? When the sages want to express what happens in Gan Eden, they say that the world to come, there's no eating and drinking, but the righteous sit with the crowns on their heads, and they take the light in the radiance of divine presence. The crown, why does it say the word that they sit with their crowns? Well, they all have crowns, physical crowns. It means that they are surrounded with spiritual crowns. They have an atar, they have like a crown, something that's encompassing and circling around them. This refers to the illumination that neither contracts nor adapts itself, so it can be vested in the varying degrees within the created being. Rather, it descends all the worlds and encompasses them equally. V'nikra keser b'lashon keseres, and it's called keser in Hebrew. Crown is called keser. Of course, it's related to a koteret, keseres, a capital which crowns a column, as in Beit Hamikdash built by King Solomon. The Beit Hamikdash, the temple itself, was surrounded by a crown. So it's like a crown, like they put around the roof of the Beit Hamikdash like a crown, and thus the crown worn on the head. While a keta means a crown, a keta means as well the crown on top of a column. So it was a column of a wall, and there was like a crown around it, like spikes around the wall. Since the illumination of the light of the spheres of Keser that were revealed in the world to come results from the performance of mitzvahs that are likened to 620 tarach, Keser also has the same numerical value, 620. Chaf, Saf, Reish. Chaf is 20, Saf is 400, Reish is 200, is 620. So it's 620 commandments. 613 in the Torah commandments, 7 rabbinical commandments. Combined the 630 commandments, 7 rabbinical commandments. Numerically equals to the word kesed. So that's what that's why the righteous have a crown, because they were connected to the 620 commandments. Alter Rebbe also explained the term crown as it applies to a concept of a column. Sfiras HaKeser is not only a crown, but it's also the concept of connection. In Kabbalah, the crown is the concept of connection between what's higher than the king, so to say, and the king. That's why he says the crown like floats on the king's head. It doesn't fit him, it floats above him. So the crown is for his head, but at the same moment it's higher than him. So the crown is the connector. That's why the king is connected, very important to his crown. And this is the intermediary. So in spirituality, it's the crown is the intermediary which joins the radiance and revelation of the emanator, which is God, the blessed Ein Sof, to emanate to the beings of the world of Atzilus. So ultimately, the first world is the world of Atzilus. Upon the world of Atzilus is a crown. Tzaddikim, their souls go to the world of Atzilus. So tzaddikim receive the light in the world of Atzilus, but in the world of emanation. But at the same moment, they upon their heads there's a crown. So the meaning is the emanator is infinite, while the emanated beings which are within a world, and even the loftiest world, is bound by limitation. Even the world of Atzilus is still limited, are finite. There must be therefore an intermediary. How do we have from total illimitation to limitation? So that's Kesed. Kesed is the crown, because Kesed has both within it. And since it has both within it the crown, it has the capability to be above and below. For its internal dimension are related from the immanent. So it is the spheres of Kesed that serves as, so to say, the intermediary. For its internal dimension is related to the emanator, and its external dimension is related to the emanated beings. It's thus through sphere of Kesed that the infinite Ein and Sof light draws into the world of Atzilus to emanate beings which populated the souls of the righteous. And that's what's going to be revealed in Mitzvah Tchias HaMesim. This light, the light of Kesed, will be revealed not only in Atzilus, but will be revealed in this world. L'chol tzaddikim, to all the righteous, sheyikumu b'tchiyah, which will rise in the time of resurrection. So you might be afraid and say, I'm not righteous. So therefore, the Mishnah right away says, Va'ameh chulam tzaddikim, and all your people are righteous. All of us will merit to be able to see this light, the light of Kesed within the world. So this transcendent divine light will thus be revealed to the entire Jewish people. Accordingly, the illumination that presently is received only by those beings that inhabit the world of Atzilus will radiate in the world to come into this physical world as well. For unlike the indwellings of illumination in Gan Eden that is dependent upon the level of comprehension of each recipient, this revelation is an encompassing light of the sphere of Kesed, which does not undergo contraction but radiates to all equally. So when Shem and Mashiach comes, and Tchias HaMesim will all merit to see this light, to feel this light, to comprehend this light. This results in a state of total revelation, whereby the very essence of divinity is visually perceived. Riyat HaMihut, to see the essence. As is written, the glory of God shall be revealed, and together all flesh shall see. And therefore, this is the meaning what the sages said. Asidim tzadikim sheyom lefneihem. Now when Mashiach comes in the future, the righteous will be lauded as holy. Kodesh, as God is praised now, they will be all called holy. Ki Kodesh is muvdal, because holy signifies lofty separation. She'eina beget hasag v'das, which is not subject to apprehension of knowledge. Because it transcends this light that's going to reveal. Tchias HaMesim is a light that even is not revealed in Gan Eden at this present time. Far from the wisdom and knowledge that's attained in Gan Eden. Because the scriptures, Chochmah shall be found from Ayin, naught. This refers to the supreme Keser, the light of Keser, which is sacred, which in the sacred Zohar is called Ayin. So even Gan Eden, they don't have the capability to have this light. It's Keser of Atzilus. They only have the capability to receive the Chochmah of the Atzilus, the wisdom in the world of Atzilus. They don't have the capability even to receive this light. This light is going to be revealed only after Mashiach comes and Tchias HaMesim. And bestowal of this radiance is manifested, meaning its essence is apprehended only after the resurrection. The soul is vested pure in a clear body. So that's why the tzaddikim says, even the righteous Moshe Rabbeinu is banging on the gates of Gan Eden to go out of Gan Eden and wants to come back to this world again. Moshe Rabbeinu, just like we're begging for Mashiach, Moshe Rabbeinu in heaven is also begging for Mashiach. He said, let Mashiach come so we can have Gila Lakus. Because whatever we have in Gan Eden is non-comparison to what we're going to have in Mirch Hashem when Mashiach comes. The Alter Rebbe goes to explain why in Gan Eden, when a soul is not incumbent by a body, the light of Keser cannot be mentioned. It's such a paradox. It's such a flip situation. Because in Gan Eden, where there are souls without bodies, they can manifest this light. Only in this world, with a body, are they going to be able to have... It doesn't make sense. So this concept, which explains, is really paradoxical. This revelation becomes possible only in the world to come, at a time of resurrection, when the soul is once again in a body. So why, Dafka, when the soul is in a body, can it receive this light? When the soul is in Gan Eden, it cannot receive this light. You would think the opposite. The soul in the body can never receive this light. Only the soul, the way it's in Gan Eden, in paradise, can receive the light. So now we're going to learn. We're going to learn something, a principle in Torah. It's a principle in Gemara, and it's a principle in Kabbalah, in Chassidus. Right? First of all, for it's well known, the determined opinion that the Ramban, who states that the ultimate reward will be specifically at the time of resurrection, when the soul will again be found within the body. We know the Rambam argues with the Ramban in this, and he holds that ultimately, according to the Ramban, Nachmanides, that Mashiach comes, the resurrection of the dead, people will live forever, because that's the ultimate reward. And the Rambam says people will live for thousands of years maybe, but ultimately they're going to go back to Gan Eden. But the Kabbalah agrees with the Ramban. Kabbalah agrees with the Ramban in this situation. No, it's for the beginning. So here's the reason why it's specifically in a body. There's a general rule. The beginning, the lofty initial level, is wedged in their end. That's a statement in Gemara. The beginning is always in the end. You have the same thing. Today is the beginning of the creation of the world. But when do we celebrate Rosh Hashanah? We celebrate Rosh Hashanah on the last day of creation, the day when man was created. Man was created the last. Not tchilasam b'seifan. The whole reason of creation is in the end of creation. It was when man was created. So it's always wedged in the end. And that's why we celebrate Rosh Hashanah on a day that man was created, because that's where the whole essence is. So even though man was created the last thing in creation, but the beginning is wedged in the end. Explained in the teaching of Chassidus as follows. Beginning refers to the level of divinity that is utterly transcends the involvement of any created worlds. This level of divinity is wedged in the last level preceding the creation involving the world. The spheres of Keser. Keser is the revealed only in the end of all worlds, meaning within the physical world. During the time of resurrection, Gan Eden, which will be when Mashiach comes, and he'll come back to a body. Gan Eden, by contrast, is incapable of receiving this transcendent level of revelation in an internalized manner. You can receive it in an encompassing manner, in a makif, but it cannot receive it in a pnimi, in an internal. Just like today, we cannot receive this light internally, even in this world. We receive it in a more of a makif. So everybody, even Gan Eden, they receive this in an encompassing light. When Mashiach comes, there'll be the rectification of the world, and there will be Tchias HaMeis, and then we'll have it, Mamish will feel it in our bodies. Thus, while the lesser radiant that is muted to match the respective limitation of the evolving worlds can be absorbed by the soul in Gan Eden and its disembodied state, the transcendent radiant issuing from Keser is revealed to the soul only when it's in a body. V'zeu, what I mentioned before, Soif Maisa b'machshava tchila. It's a well-known statement. The final deed, the last stage of creation of this physical world, which is man, b'machshava tchila, was first in his thought. Kenoida, as it's known. So it is known, the famous statement that Soif Maisa, the last action, was really the whole thought of creation. So that's why man, which is the last in action, was the first in thought. So that's what it says over here. So throughout, and everything so that's the way it is in the way physically in the world, and that is the way it is in its spiritual state. So thought and creation are both aspects of first and last. The lowest level of creation, which is this world, is rooted in the beginning of the highest level of divine thought. So even in general creation, this is a physical world, and there's greater worlds and the holier worlds and spiritual worlds above it. But everything was created for this world. So that means this world was in the thought of God before even all the spiritual worlds. So all the spiritual worlds were created for this world. So everything, Soif Maisa, his last action, was in his beginning thought. This is why specifically the deed performed in this last world of creation, while the soul is clothed in a physical body, is able to elicit and draw down a radiance of Keser. As explained here by the Alter Rebbe, this refers to mitzvah of tzedakah, as well as to do mitzvahs in general, all which is termed tzedakah, for its performance of a physical mitzvah. That's why that Chassidus teaches us the greatness of a physical mitzvah. That it's so important not to have only a thought of a mitzvah, not to only have understanding of a mitzvah, but actually to do the mitzvah in a physical way, because of this concept that only in the physical can we reveal the true essence. Only in the physical, in the most mundane aspect of the world, can be revealed true reality, true godliness. Because that's why there is physical. The Eibusha did not need the physical for the physical. We needed the physical because he wanted to reveal godliness in the world. So as explained by the Alter Rebbe, this refers to mitzvah, and for its the performance of a physical mitzvah in this material world that was aroused first in God's thought. That was the whole reason why He created the world, that you should do a mitzvah. At the level of divine Kesser, for the physical mitzvah, the ultimate purpose of creation. Beautiful concept in Chassidus. Returning to the earlier discussion, it now is clear why the future time, the righteous, and your people are all righteous, will be lauded as holy. That will be revealed to them divine radiance that is holy, and they're going to become holy physically, in the sense that it transcends apprehension. Apprehension is going to reveal to them a godly entity that is beyond intellect, so it's much greater than them, and therefore it's going to elevate them physically. Moreover, they will become unified with this revelation that is termed holy, will apply to them as well physically. But there's a but here. However, it's impossible to attain this level of being able to observe the transcendent light of Sefer Kalam until one has first been in Gan Eden. To apprehend the degree of supernal Chachma, each one according to his measure. So that's why we have to go through Gan Eden. For explained earlier, the lesser divine light that radiates in Gan Eden is received by each soul according to its own particular glia. But Tal Tedam and Techayehu, the Rebbe adds here that the soul will then arise at the time of resurrection of the dead through the dew of the Torah. For as our sages teach, whoever is engaged in the study of Torah, the dew of Torah revives him at the time of resurrection. The verse upon which the sages based this teaching reads, "Your dead shall be resurrected. Those who lie in the dust shall awaken and sing joyful praises. For the dew shall be your dew." It is thus clear that the revival affected by the dew of Torah refers to the resurrection of the dead. The Rebbe adds, therefore, when will you awaken it? The Torah will cause you to speak. And this promise, as expounded in Ovis, Pirkei Ovis, refers to the time of the world to come. V'dai le'maven. And this will be suffice for the discerning, and this will be suffice to those who have knowledge. In order to attain this explanation over here, in order to attain the level of Sefer Kalam at the time of resurrection, the soul must first be in Gan Eden and apprehend the supernal Chachma according to its particular degree and level. For though in Gan Eden the soul apprehends no higher than the lesser, permeating divine soul called Malakalam, the way it fills the world, even in Gan Eden, its perception is nevertheless augmented by the light of Kesser, which also illuminates it. The soul indeed apprehends a latter enlightenment only to the extent of Yedias HaMetzius, knowledge of its existence, by the encompassing perception of Makiv, rather than with the penetrating revelation of Hasagas HaMahus, understanding its essence. So in Gan Eden, you understand its existence. You don't understand its essence. So when Mashiach comes and the resurrection of the dead, then we'll understand its essence. Nevertheless, this added illumination of understanding its knowledge of its existence enables the soul at the time of resurrection to apprehend the essence revelation of Sefer Kalam, to even apprehend in a way of existence, to know its of existence of its essence. So, since as stated above, the soul in Gan Eden apprehends the indwelling light, experiences in Gan Eden consists of revelation of Torah within the soul, so to speak. For the Torah is likened to food, as the verse states, "Your Torah is your Torah is within inward part. It's a lechem. It's my bread." means sometimes something that affects one from within, as explained at length above in chapter 1, part 1, chapter 5. However, Gan Eden is also illuminating by the glimmering of the radiance that results from the performance of mitzvahs. And these act as a garment and encompassing light for the soul in Gan Eden, as mentioned in the above letter. So how does the soul receive its light of Sefer Kalalman? Is again only through the acts of a mitzvah which he did when he was in this world. So that becomes a garment for him to be able to receive the light of Keser. At the time of the world to come, at the time of the resurrection, the superior light of Sefer Kalalman will be revealed chiefly as a result of one's present performing of mitzvahs. When Mashiach comes, you'll be able to receive it right then and there, when you're even in a body. This comes about through, together with the dew of Torah, revives him and causes him to speak. Very powerful teaching of the Alter Rebbe, very powerful learning. It's something you need to learn a couple of times to be able to understand it and to have a comprehension. Today is the 25th day of the month. As I said, the birthday of the world. Today we say a half of chapter 119, from the letter Aleph to the letter Mem, is half of chapter 119, is the day of the month, and since today is the 25th day of the month, in the 3 chapters of the month of you're supposed to stay in the month of Elul, is chapter 73, 74, and 75. Those are the 3 chapters of the day. I wish you all a great, beautiful, happy day, and a happy birthday to the world. Today is the day of the creation of the world.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. See you in Shamol tomorrow at 8 a.m.